Hello and welcome. In this explainer, we're going to dive right into the entrepreneur's blueprint. We'll walk through all those critical steps, the ones that take you from just a spark of an idea all the way to a real, functioning microenterprise. So, let's kick things off with a number that really puts everything into perspective. Get this, almost 80% of all small and medium enterprises in Malaysia, they're actually microenterprises. So, yeah, they're not just some small piece of the puzzle. They are, quite literally, the backbone of the entire national economy.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll start by defining what a microenterprise even is. Then, we'll look at the anatomy of an entrepreneur. From there, it's all about going from idea to business model, then to the formal business plan. And we'll wrap up by comparing a couple of models in practice.
All right, first up, defining microenterprises. Let's get a handle on their scale and their impact. So what's the official definition? Well, it's actually pretty straightforward. It all comes down to two key things. A business is considered a microenterprise if its annual sales are under 300,000 ringgit, or if it has fewer than 5 full-time employees. And that "or" is really important. It's one or the other. Okay, but why does this matter so much? Well, these businesses play a huge socioeconomic role. They're basically job-creating machines, generating income not just for the owners, but for their employees too. And this is especially crucial for improving the lives of lower-income communities, what's known in Malaysia as the B40 group. That's the bottom 40%.
Okay, moving on. Section 2, the anatomy of an entrepreneur. Let's look at the core characteristics you need for success. So much of this stuff starts right here, in your head. It's all about the mindset and drive. First, you've got to have initiative, right? That means looking at failure and seeing it as an opportunity, not the end of the road. It's about being super committed. Then you need to be goal-oriented, a strategic thinker who knows exactly where they're going. And of course, you have to be a bit of a risk taker with the self-confidence to believe you can actually pull it off.
But, mindset isn't enough. You have to turn it into action and innovation. We're talking about being proactive, the kind of person who sees something that needs doing and just does it. You also have to be creative and innovative, always churning out new ideas. And maybe the biggest one, being opportunistic. That means having a sharp eye for seeing a situation and figuring out how to turn it into a profitable business. And the last piece of this puzzle is all about character and people skills. This stuff is non-negotiable. Discipline and consistency, that's how you earn a reputation for being reliable. Honesty and trustworthiness, that's how you build confidence with everyone, from customers to partners. And you've got to be personable. You need those communication skills to sell your idea, lead your people, and keep everyone motivated. All right, section 3, from idea to business model. Now we're getting into how you structure that initial concept. This grid here gives you a really clear path to follow. You start by finding a need in the market and just sketching out your idea. And a good tip? Start in an industry you're actually passionate about. Then you move on to getting feedback from family and friends, people who will be honest with you. Based on what they say, you tweak and refine the idea. And the last step, you start to formalize it with something called a business model canvas. So I just mentioned a business model. What is that exactly? Well, you can think of it as the basic logic of your business. It's the how behind everything. How do you create value? How do you deliver that value to your customers? And, of course, how do you capture some of that value? Make money. I love this quote because it's the perfect analogy. The business model is like that first sketch an architect makes. It's not the super detailed technical blueprint for building a house. Not yet. It's the big picture drawing that shows the vision and the basic structure before you even think about pouring the concrete. And one of the best tools for making that sketch is the business model canvas. It's basically a strategic chart that helps you map out your entire business model visually. You can see everything, your customers, your costs, your revenue streams, all of it right there on one page. It's incredibly powerful. Okay, on to section 4, the formal business plan. So if the model was the sketch, this is the detailed blueprint for actually building the thing. A really solid business plan needs to answer some absolutely fundamental questions. First, what's your mission? Who are your customers? And what is this business all about? What are you actually selling? Crucially, what makes you unique? Then you have to look outward. Who are your competitors? And where do you fit in the market? And finally, who's on the bus? Who's on your team and what do they bring to the table? And it doesn't stop there. You need a marketing plan. How are you actually going to reach your customers?
You'll also need a really honest SWOT analysis. That's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then, of course, come the numbers. This is huge. We're talking cash flow, financial projections, sales forecasts, the works. And after all that, you put a neat little bow on it with an executive summary that goes right at the top.
Okay, so that's a lot of theory. Let's make it real. Section 5, Models in Practice. We're going to compare two really different ventures, one traditional and one digital, to see how this all applies. So let's look at our two examples. On one side, you've got a classic food truck business. Think about it. You need a ton of money up front for the truck, for permits, for all your inventory. On the complete other end of the spectrum, you have something like the Jewel affiliate platform. Here, you can start with literally zero capital. You don't have to worry about inventory or logistics. Your entire focus is just on digital marketing. This chart just lays out the differences so clearly. I mean, look at the initial capital. Tens of thousands of ringgit for the food truck versus absolutely nothing for Jewel. The main risk shifts too, from losing a bunch of money to, well, losing your time if it doesn't work out. And just look at the key activities and the infrastructure needed. They're from completely different planets. And all of this brings us to one last, really interesting question to chew on. In the world we live in today, where things change so fast, what's really more critical for success? Is it that super detailed, formal business plan we talked about? Or is it the more adaptive, flexible business model that lets you pivot when you need to? It's definitely something to think about.